when you're doing this, the whole concept is you're legitimately telling like mini stories within a big story, the overall story. Like what is your core offer? What are you trying to sell? What are you trying to get people to take an action to get involved in? We are going to talk about now the concepts of nurturing your list, setting up your sequences, how to do it, what you want to promote, how to create and craft your messages on communicating with your asset, which is your list, right? So yesterday we talked about, or 2 days ago and yesterday, but all about creating your lead magnets, which is your giveaways, your free giveaways, your ebooks, your guides, your Audible books, videos, memberships, whatever it is that you decide. There's tons of things you can choose from that you can give away. It could be a product, right? So you're using your lead magnet that's going to go into a survey, right, as a giveaway. And then you're going to start to ask people questions through your survey. And during the survey, you're going to ultimately try to understand who these people are to a point where you can now segment your list. And then we talked about where at the end of the registration, right, we talked about a lead magnet, a squeeze page, and a reverse squeeze page. And on the lead magnet, that's when you sign up, that's where you get the giveaway or you get submitted. For the squeeze page, that is where you get some information after you sign up. And the reverse squeeze page is where you give the information up front and then they can sign up if they want to. And like we talked about, that last one, you're going to have a lower conversion, but the quality should be higher because they're signing up and you're not really making them sign up, or making is the bad word, but ultimately holding a carrot to get them to sign up so that they can get something else, right? So you're going to use all three of those tactics, right? So let's say you're using the lead magnet into the survey, and then we talked about your site monetization. And the concept there is once they sign up, you're going to be trying to monetize the traffic that's going through your survey funnels, right? Your lead magnet funnels, so that you can offset your costs from the front end media buys or just generate some profit, right? If you're able to get some traffic on the front end and you can get it where you're not necessarily paying for the front end of the sign up, then you can then use that revenue to be able to pay out for the traffic. If it's organic, then it's just, simple profit, which is a good thing. Let's get into the email side of things. So when you're getting somebody to come in here and sign up, the whole idea of what you're doing is you're going to be ultimately, what's going to happen is people are coming in to your database, and there's a few different ways you can be doing some of these things. You can create like a 4 to 7 day sequence where it's just you need to make some money ASAP, and you start sending emails out, hitting on the different types of buying personas. Or you can create your soap opera sequence. And I want to dive into that a little bit and try to explain to you guys what that means. But I'm going to go over it quickly. The soap opera sequence is a concept of where you want to build trust, build a relationship with the user. Whereas when people are calling it a soap opera sequence versus a Seinfeld email, a Seinfeld email is just a one-off emails that you're sending where the goal is to really more entertain and tell a story, but to try to drive a call to action. Soap operas, typically you try to get them into some sort of sequence versus a Seinfeld concept is that you're going to broadcast the emails. Okay. So let me get a little bit deeper in here and why they call it a soap opera. And I'm using that word because I heard it from other people, right? I heard from Russell Brunson. I believe other people use it out in the market, but it's really more along the lines of telling a story to the users that are coming in. So think of it as if it was a movie and you wanted to start to write emails. What you would be doing is you're breaking up the emails into sections. And the goal is that as you're sending these different emails, right, every day, it's you starting to tell a story. And the reason why they call it a soap opera is because at the end of every email, the concept there is that you leave the consumer hanging where they want to know what you're going to tell them, and you have to wait for tomorrow to look at the next email so that you can now learn whatever it is that you left them with on the back end. When you're starting off with telling your soap opera, if you're talking about your own situation, you could tell your epiphany story, right? You can go and talk about your personal epiphany story. And if you don't want to talk about yourself, you don't have to. And there's a lot of ways you can do this and not have to put yourself out in the forefront. But if you are, then you could start talking about your personal things. So the first email is all about like the welcome email, introducing you to the user, setting some sort of stage that you're talking. You're not trying to sell them. You're just trying to get them to know who you are, right? You're starting to share some secrets on what your vehicle does, and you're then leaving them with some sort of teaser, right, on what the next secret is for your internal objections, so that the next time they come back, they're going to want to come back. So the second email will be all around like a drama email of knowing the secret of what you left them hanging with the day before. And, you're starting to tell them, the whole story. So if you guys looked at, how you tell your epiphany story, right? There's all these different stages that they talk about. So ultimately what you're doing is you're breaking that up into emails, just mini stories. Each story, you always want to have a hook. You want to tell a story, right? You want to have a front end hook, something that's exciting about what that specific story is about, getting them in. Then you're telling them a story and showing them how you've overcame whatever that story is, and then finishing with the solution and a call to action, right? Each email could have a call to action. You can do it in a lot of different ways. Some of them you can call to action where it's aggressive, other ones where you don't have to. But you can put some links down at the bottom that show people how to take action when they're ready, right? A lot of people put like a footer down at the bottom. So, when you're ready, here's the steps you can take to start working with me, right? So I'm sure you've seen that in some other emails that people have sent out, but if you haven't, that's the concept. So set the stage, high drama. Day 2, day 3 could be an epiphany story. Day 4 is all the hidden benefits, and day 5, call to action, right? So that's like the framework for what a soap opera sequence is, right? And when you're doing this, the whole concept is you're legitimately telling like mini stories within a big story, the overall story. Like what is your core offer? What are you trying to sell? What are you trying to get people to take an action to get involved in, right? So the minute they click and do something where they take an action showing interest, I'm immediately going to take them and put them into a different segment where a sequence is set up, all focused around the Facebook media buying business. They still stay in my general email list, right, of what I'm sending to them in this sequence, this soap opera sequence, right, this whole story. But in the same time, they're going to fall into a different sequence, getting emails about Facebook media buying and again, starting over with those stories. Another story about Facebook media buying and what's the hook, what's the story, and then what's the call to action? What do you want them to do? What are you trying to, get them to take an action on? And you're going to start trying to get them to purchase something in the Facebook media buying space. And at the same time, you have it going through your overall messaging, right? You could have a core offer, like a high ticket offer, But the ultimate goal is you are just continuously talking to them, telling them different stories, keeping the messaging the same. And then as they take actions on different emails and click on different things, what you do is you want to branch them off into a new sequence, right? So someone can do it on day 5 when you have more of a call to action and they click on the Facebook media buying email. That's when they're going to fall into another sequence. The last email within that short series of emails in the sequence would be some sort of call to action, right? Trying to get them to take an action. So, trying to create some urgency, adding some scarcity there where there's a limited amount of people that can get this offer, and the time to do it is within the next 24 hours. So you could either take them to an application page, you could take them to a webinar where you start to talk to them and get into more detail about your product, and then you try to close them there. You can get them on the phones. So a lot of different ways, but ultimately you got to give them something that they can pay you and give you money, right? So, for example, I've been asked by a lot of people to coach them, and people have offered me money, but I don't have a product yet. I didn't put out a coaching program yet. So I tell them I can't. I'm not ready for that. When I am ready, I'll let you know. And the reason for that is because I still want to be talking to people like you guys and get feedback, because that's the way I'm going to build out my program based on the response that I get from you guys when I'm teaching you some of these tactics, right? Giving you these strategies, and based off the feedback, I'll understand what you guys need and don't need. And then I can build a program that will make sense. And I'll be doing that very shortly, because what I want to have the ability to have people that I can go and have like a weekly live and a community where everybody's supporting one another. So that will come, right? And when it does, I'm going to start to build out a sequence. Within my sequence of everything that I have, my general list, it's going to start where I'm going to set the stage around what I just described to you, write a story on, how people have been asking me to create a coaching program, but I haven't been ready and it's not the time. And, I'm anxious to do it. Right. And then, come back tomorrow and I'll tell you what I did. And then, my next email might be around, I started to think about it. And when I didn't really have anything to offer, I realized, based on, working with a lot of my clients, my students in these programs, I realized all the needs that they have. And now I'm able to put together a program where I have the answers for you. Right. And that's my epiphany story on, oh my God, like I actually can help you. And here's how I can help you. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create some sort of emotional connection with you guys, with the people that I'm talking to, right? I'm trying to get them to know me and get them to start, caring and showing all the things that then I can give somebody some sort of call to action. Email overall, when you're sending out emails and you're setting up programs, there's frameworks that you can follow. Okay. There's always the hook, right? The front end, of how you're positioning it, how you're getting somebody to want to read the email, right? And then you're going to tell a story, and then there'll always be some sort of way to take action at the end of the story, right? And in the story that you're telling people, you're starting off with where you were and then how you're getting there, right? How you overcome this issue. So, another way that you can look at it from doing it with focused on buying personas would be starting off with an initial email where you can talk about something that you're going to do that is going to be focused towards somebody who's more impulsive, someone that's spontaneous, someone that would be willing to take out their credit card and purchase something like immediately, day one. So, you start off with an email where you're talking about doing something impulsive and you're making an offer that is unbelievable. And one of the keys to that is that you want to start by hitting on that email and you want to start to create some enemy. And then you want to build it up in your story that there's an enemy and that you're the hero, right? Because you're offering this amazing price to them that no one can get anywhere at any time. So, in an instance in that kind of email, you would make the enemy be, maybe your partner wouldn't allow you to offer it at this price, and you are doing something impulsive and going to offer it for the next 24 hours at this price where maybe you sell your product for even $997, but for the next 24 hours, you're going to offer this for $297. And your partner doesn't know about it. And when they find out what you're doing, they're probably going to make me take it down. But until they do, I want to do it. I want to offer it to you guys because I just been getting a lot of feedback that, people really want to work with me, but they can't afford it. And I want to work with them. So I want to get them into the program. And the goal here is that you want to add in some scarcity. So you want to say that there's a time limit, right? But you also want to limit how many of these 297s you're going to give. So the time limit is based off of one, when you're setting the date of when it's going to end, and two, if your partner finds out about it, they might shut it down. And two is you're limiting how many you're going to sell. So maybe you're going to only sell 50, right? So the first 50 that come in, get it. And after that, it's done. And you're trying to paint a picture to someone who's impulsive of how unbelievable this product is. But the whole goal around this is you're not even talking about the product. You haven't even gotten into the product. You're just talking about this amazing deal that's happening that, maybe you sold out last time when you did it and you're doing it again, and you're doing it without your partner letting him know because he's not going to let you offer it at this price, but you really want to. And, he's the enemy, you're the hero. The second type of email of what you would be doing is more of somebody who does research, somebody that is practical, is more logic based. And in that scenario, what you'd want to be doing in this, again, you're always setting the stage with some sort of hook and a story that you're going to talk about. But what you want to do in these emails, and you want to, these people are the type of people that are going to ask a ton of questions. So they may have gotten that first email where it's the spontaneous, okay, great, this is the chance for you to buy this, right? Now they may not have bought it, and they get the second email where they just didn't buy it because they're just but they have this question and that question. And if you know your product, which you should already know what your objections are, right? So what you do is ultimately you just get out in front of it. And in this email, you talk about all the objections and you answer those objections in the email, right? If you're using a survey and you're segmenting your data, then based on the objections that each of those segments are going to have, then that's what your email is going to be about, right? Some may have an objection around your vehicle, and some may have an objection about their own internal beliefs of, are they good enough? Are they smart enough? Can they do it? Right? And others may have objections around, they just don't have enough time. They're external objections, right? I really want to do it, but I really don't have enough time. When, if you can convince them that it's possible that the vehicle that you're selling to them is there and you believe you can do it and you believe in yourself, then there's no doubt that the person's going to find the time to now take on a project that's going to create wealth for them. It's going to dramatically change their lives. When you can try to take a step back and put a system in place then you just go back to the framework of what is it you're doing? Who are you talking to, right? Are you talking to the person that's spontaneous? Are you talking to the person that asks a lot of questions? So you identify who your market segment is. Once you identify who the market segment is, now you just tell that simple process of you setting the stage, you're having a hook, right? And then you're diving into some drama around a story. You're then having that epiphany of how you're overcoming this issue, right? How that person came and was able to overcome this and find some success and have a solution and all the benefits involved. And then you tell them how they can have a call to action, right? Like what they can do. So, in this email that I'm describing to you would be just answering questions. So just ultimately go to your site, take the FAQs, bring them onto your page, and that's your emails. Each FAQ could be an email if you want to spread it out over time, right? And each one would have the stage, the hook, the drama, the epiphany, the hidden benefit, and then the call to action. So if you have 10 FAQs, you have 10 emails right there, right? If you know who your audience is and you know which of the objections they have, right? And you do that by surveying them and asking them, and they're going to tell you, then you know which email to send them, right? So on a third email for the third buying persona, is more of the person that is not spontaneous. They'll ask a lot of questions. They'll do research, but even after they ask their 15 questions that they have, they still want to see a case study, or they want to see that somebody did this, took your program and was successful with it. So in that scenario, how do you answer that? How do you relate to that? So the answer is, right, you would take a testimonial, right? You would take a testimonial from somebody that already went through this process and had some success. Or if you're doing something from a B2B, it's a case study, right? So you already worked with a client. You did whatever the product that you're trying to pitch them is. You told them how it applied to their business, and then you showed the solution. You showed the success. You talk about the success that they had. You give them some visuals, and then you show them how they can do that for their business, right? So in this scenario, you're still telling a story, man. You're setting the stage. It's just, what's the hook? What's the, oh my God, getting them in and interested. I'll just continue on with the buying persona of the third one that we were talking about with somebody that is now looking for testimonials or case studies, right? So what would be now the fourth email, which would be the fourth buying persona, would be somebody who's more of a last minute type of person. They've been watching, they're seeing your emails, they like it, they're reading it, they're consuming your content, they're not opting out, they're engaging with you, but they're just not pulling out their credit card and buying, right? So in this scenario, there's a lot of ways you can do this. You could take, if it's a short-term process where you're using urgency and scarcity, you could take that first email. You could forward that email, take it, forward it, and then write some message to everybody in that segment that, hey guys, I don't want you to miss this. Just so you know, this is happening and it's ending today, right? It's ending in 3 hours. And what you're doing is you're really just reiterating what you did on the front end to the impulse buyer, right? You're telling them, what is it? What's the story? There's this many that are left. And, you can kind of talk about this is going to go away in a certain period of time, right? If we can take a step back and just put together these systems, then every time you kind of get lost in the shuffle, you can then go back to the board and be like, all right, well, what do I want to talk about? Did I set the stage? What's the objections? What's the drama? What's the backstory that I'm going to be talking about here? And then, where's the epiphany in this backstory? Where's the, oh my God, I realize that I can do this, or I realize that is the solution I need, or that I do have time, right? And then you go to the solution and how they overcame that solution, and you talk about the story on how they did it and how they transformed, and then all the good things about the program, right? You're hitting on them, and then the call to action, right? You direct them to something. You give them a place where they can now take some actions. I think you guys should really look at this and rewatch this if you guys are not taking notes around the email side, because this is powerful, right? This is really powerful. And once you get this concept, it's a home run for you guys. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go, but, hope this was helpful. I hope I, served you in some way. And like always, if you have any questions, fire away, send them to me, in the group, and I'll answer it. And yeah, otherwise, talk to you guys soon.